Today I'm going to show our latest integration with Mobiletech version 7. And on the left-hand side of the screen, I have our Quadra desktop version emulated as an iPhone. And on the right-hand side, I have the latest release of Mobiletech version 7 and their web-based version of it as well. So basically what it has is when you go into the appointments, you'll now have a new option after maybe a technician was dispatched, a call came in, and he was dispatched out to do some troubleshooting for the customer and also, probably provide a quote. So when he goes to complete his kind of investigation for the troubleshooting, one of two scenarios could happen. First off, he'd provide his resolution and maybe it's follow up with quote or any other specific stuff, reprogramming required or fan motor replacement or belts or whatever it may be. Provided that they select that, the next option they can do is create a recommendation to the customer for a repair. Our recommendations are really viewed for a lot of people who aren't familiar with it as like a sales lead. When you think of it like a sales force or CRM type application. And those leads can then just be passed off to the office, or they could be allowed to create a quote up to a certain dollar amount, depending on, is this a junior, apprentice versus maybe a more senior technician. So I'm going to say I got called out. There were some belt issues reported with this particular AC unit, and as a technician, I'm going to now recommend that we replace the fan motor. So I can now choose in my resolution that we need to create a quote, or we're recommending that they replace the fan motor, and click create. And what that's doing now is it's now automatically generated a request in the Quadra app where the technician can, just take a look real quickly. It's given back the ID of the recommendation that Quadra's created, passed over the customer name, the customer location detail, the service call that it was on, the piece of equipment maybe that was related to, and all that great detail. So now as a tech, if I flip back to the mobile quoting tool from Quadra and just take a look here, it'll automatically place it right on the dashboard as the last one that was generated from Mobiletech. So now I can go in here, the recommendation's already created, and as a tech, I can just notify the office, and that's it, I'm done. And the office then can take over and finish up the sales lead that was provided here. And very quickly I then get an email stating that this new sales lead has come in from the field as a worker or sales office staff to then follow up and complete it. So that's the first main integration. The other scenario may just be you go through this and you continue on yourself. And I'm going to then create a quote. The customer, wants this quote. And, again, the scenario may be that I go through and I have approval limits to a certain amount. And I can go in and, maybe I add a few details to it and then approve it and sign off on it via either this is the customer signing off on this quote, or maybe, I just got an email back from the customer giving the approval, and I've now signed off. And I'm either going to add this to an existing service call, maybe the original call that I was out on. And if I choose that, when I go to the search option here, it immediately just filters it down for any open service calls for that specific customer, for that specific location that I can then re-add this quote to. And in this case, it was for this particular service call here, the fan now working that I just generated. And now what it's done is it's just updated that initial service call that I was already on, but now just attached a quote to it. The other scenario is, and I go in to complete this, I'm going to recommend that, again, there's a quote that's going to be required. It's not just a T&M. And, I'm going to say we need to install a new furnace or a new AC unit or, replace the condenser coil, whatever it may be. And I click create. Again, if I go back to the Quadra app, the new recommendation is there for either the sales staff to pick up, or again, the technician to just complete this quote because he's allowed to. So he's maybe going to go in and say, yeah, I think, it's going to take me a couple hours. So then I select service labor, and I choose my skill level, and I say for how many hours at regular, hourly rate. Let's say it's going to be 3 hours. Maybe I grab some inventory or some non-stock items or whatever else it is that I need to complete this quote. Once I'm done that, I could add some pictures or files, notify the customer or notify the office, or maybe I have, and again, I'm just going to complete this quote quickly for demonstration purposes. But this time, after either the customer's approved it here or a manager in the office, and I continue on, instead of adding it back to the existing quote or service call, I should say, that I was called out for to troubleshoot it, it may be that we really want to do this not the same day, and it needs to be done by a different technician. In that case, I'm going to just create a new service call this time to have this attached to. So I choose my problem type, again, something to do with the furnace, noisy or not working, and I just choose which division it's for, my commercial division. Anything else is just really not mandatory aside from the date and the technician. And I hit confirm for creation, and now it's been completed. The service call is now created, and instead of again adding it to the existing one, it's now created a brand new service call for me here. As you can see, they match, and that came from Quadra, and it's got all those details on there, 3 hours. I can see the quote to that Quadra attached, and again, this quote could have just been attached to the existing service call I was already on, and I go in and just refresh, and I continue on my work in Mobiletech, or I create a brand new one that Quadra's generated now, and if I did my sync, I'd be able to then grab that new service call the next day and complete that work. That's Quadra's new integration that we currently have with Mobiletech version 7.